Right, so I have returned once again today to deliver yet another new anime. This anime being say the word, Kino's Journey: The Beautiful World. And as we know, it's actually a very acclaimed series that has actually, if I remember correctly, been turned into anime beforehand, like very long ago. I actually didn't get spooked that time because YouTube was actually muted. So yeah, I swear this happened to be released, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago. The original series is, or even longer than that, I actually think. I've always heard pretty good things about it. I actually think the studio who originally did them is actually doing Dies Ide this season, which actually is quite ironic. I was like, huh, that's actually quite interesting. I thought, you know what? It's pretty freaking interesting, actually. But yeah, hopefully this actual series is actually pretty freaking good because I've always heard it's actually better read than watched. So hopefully it actually breaks the curse because I've always heard good things about the series, just never got around to reading it. And ask me why. It's never got around to reading it. It also happens to be like two different mangas of the exact same series as well, which gets really confusing after a while. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's actually two ways of reading it. There's actually three ways of reading it, apparently. It's a very confusing concept, old Kino's Journey. So anyway, without further delay, let's actually get a show on the road. So let's start in 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. The original was '03. I knew it was either 5 or 6 years ago or even longer. It's one of those ones I just couldn't remember whether or not it happened to be like very recent, kind of recent, or very long ago. It's got a nice sense of direction so far, which I quite like. It is quiet. It's got that alert che sense of direction, which is quite synonymous with them. As time went on, it's sort of kind of begun to actually kind of get an identity for themselves. It's actually kind of come out this year quite often. I think Kino's Journey is kind of showing that even more now. Like the sense of direction they've got now, more than last year and the year before. It is quite nice though. It's one of those ones that it it needed to nail the direction quite a bit to actually be a very effective adaptation. Because I imagine probably the actual source material was very kind of visual more than anything else. The journey itself is kind of the more important side of it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, will that country survive in the real world? I actually have no idea. Probably not. Off he goes. Man, this kid's packing heat. Oh, the Kino's packing heat. This is quite an interesting concept to actually tackle in episode 1. The idea of a country that's kind of freely allowed to kill anyone without being criminalized. It's quite interesting to actually kind of combat that in episode 1. I should like episode 2 or 3, but episode 1's kind of an interesting place to start. This is quite an interesting episode. Very interesting, actually. I'm actually quite enjoying it so far as well. I think the way it's tackling its concept is actually kind of interesting. Well, that's a weird cut. That's a very weird cut, actually. Just went boom, ended. That was a bit of a weird one. I mean, it's an interesting concept because you'd imagine that the whole entire place would be like kind of in like disrepair. Everyone would be like kind of there literally be no one around, but it's kind of the most civilized thing in a long time that I've seen. It's actually an interesting concept. Hello, how's it going? Oh, oh man. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that actually doing anyone else's like kind of animation. I've actually kind of believed in that concept. I tend to avoid anything that's done by other YouTubers, stuff like that, just because I just don't believe in that concept. Do apologize. I never done it. I don't think I ever will. Oh, Oh wow. Jesus Christ, this is actually going places. Jesus Christ. Huh. 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 All right, that was really freaking good. Huh. Did a good job, I must say. Actually, it was quite a heavy episode to actually kind of do with episode one, though. Like, I mean, damn, it kind of went straight into it and straight into the idea of like a civilization or a country that actually can kill others, but in theory doesn't also kill people. It's kind of confusing how they work because apparently it's like the murder is actually not a bad thing or it's not criminalized, but the whole entire thing deals with the whole idea is if you kill someone else, they kill you, which is actually mildly interesting. Because again, it's one of those things that kind of plays with the idea of a false perception on the whole entire country. Because you imagine it to be a country where people are just killing each other. There's people with like, as Hermes says, like with their hands in their mouths and stuff like that. But in fact, no, they're very civilized. They're very, very kind of easygoing. They're quite safe. And the fact is, that's why. Because they understand their own rules, understand how to live by, and nothing really ever happens there unless someone tries to overtread that, and then that's when they try to take them out because they're a tight-knit community. That's why there's also no police there. Because in theory, what any police there when they've got themselves to deal with those people as well? It's actually kind of interesting concept. I actually quite liked it. I thought, you know what? I mean, it's a very freaking heavy thing to actually kind of attack on episode one, but it was handled quite well. It's one of those ones that I would like to see it again, kind of just tackled even more. But yeah, I mean, damn, it was it's quite the interesting episode, quite the interesting concept and all that because again, it tackled something you would not expect an anime to tackle in the first episode, the idea of a country that kills others where murder is simply permitted and it's not actually criminalized. But there's a catch to it because the bloke goes there thinking, oh yeah, I can just go there and kill someone. In fact, no, you can't. There's no way in theory in that country actually go and kill someone freely because once you do that, you're treading on their own rules, which then allows them to kill you because they only kill when I think it's the three rules were when someone else is when you've killed someone else when you're trying to kill someone. It was also another rule. I can't remember the top of my head, but those are my eyes the two main ones. If you've killed before, and if you are going to kill, you're trying to kill. I think with the three rules. It was kind of interesting because you would imagine by the actual way they were speaking that the fact is you can just go there and freely kill someone. No, you can't. Like it's not allowed. It's an interesting thing because it's a massive contradiction, but it isn't the exact same time. It's kind of like it's they have their own rules. They're a country which you would not imagine to be civilized because, as you would imagine, a country to live like that wouldn't even last 10 seconds because if they just go around killing each other, then there'd be nothing left. But they managed to actually kind of keep alive, keep very civilized, keep very, very kind of prosperous. But the idea of they don't kill each other unless they actually overtread the rules. And that bloke at the end that kind of is going to go into that whole entire town kind of makes me interested to see what would happen to him. Because if he mentions the fact that he's killed before, but would they in theory kind of try and do something with him, trying to drive him out, or actually even worse? Because I don't know whether or not they allow the idea of a person killing before if they want to start a new life. Maybe if you want to start a new life, they actually might kind of look over it. But it was interesting because I wasn't expecting the dude to come back and try and kill Kino. I wasn't expecting that at all because I was like, okay, well that guy's just a passing person. He won't do anything. But in theory, no. He was technically the Chekhov's gun, if you so to speak. That he was telling people to Chekhov's gun. The idea of when the actual like words of murder permitted actually get put into play, someone will try to get murdered, and he was technically the person trying to murder Kino. So it's actually massive Chekhov's gun. But all in all, it was actually kind of interesting. I was like, you know what? Good way to actually kind of combat an idea like that, because it needs a certain finesse to it to actually tackle something like that. It can't be haphazard, because it's quite a heavy subject. This idea of a civilization or a country that does kill others but doesn't at the exact same time. It's quite a heavy concept, but it was handled with such finesse that it kind of it didn't feel out of place. It didn't feel really left field. Like, I mean, at first you're kind of like, what the hell? Like, why is it going like this at the first episode? But once you start to understand and start to take it apart piece by piece, it all begins to kind of fall into place. It kind of just all makes sense. It doesn't really feel left field at all. You kind of like at the end, yeah, that's quite a heavy thing to tackle. But at the same time, you're kind of like, well, no, at the same time, it's actually a really interesting thing to tackle, because what if there was a world like that? What if there's actually a place like that? Like, what would happen? Because at first, which it kind of plays back into perception of the false perception that you imagine to be completely uncivilized, people be murdered everywhere, bodies on the floor everywhere, blood splattered across the walls. No, it wasn't, because they know what they're doing. Like, in theory, they know not to overtread anything, because if anything does happen, they will, in theory, die. And it's one of those things that's why there's no police as beforehand, because there's no need for them, because they, in theory, they just take the person out themselves. It's like, what's the point of having a government or something like that when you can just do it yourself? Like, it's an interesting thing, because it's a very tight-knit community that didn't really need very much going on, because they knew what they were doing. Like, no police or anything. It was a very interesting concept. I actually really do like it. I think if it wasn't for Girls' last tour just an hour ago, it actually might have been the best show of the season so far, because it really kind of did do a lot of things pretty freaking damn well, which I was really surprised about. I was like, you know what, good job. I was not expecting that. I was expecting, by the title, Kino's Journey. Like, it's a journey. I wasn't expecting the whole entire thing to be, oh yeah, we're going to a country where people allow the idea of murder to be permitted. I wasn't expecting that in the first episode, nor was I expecting that from a show like this. But it's an interesting thing. It's interesting. It's quite cool in that way, and how it's handled. So yeah, I know this series is very much it's not the destination, but more the journey itself. That's kind of what it's trying to go for. It's very evident from the fact that actually the title of the show is Kino's Journey, so it's not the destination, but it's the journey itself. So now it kind of lends us to wonder what will happen next, who we will meet next, and what's going to happen there. Like, what's going to be the next country he goes to? Will it be more absurd than the previous one, or more lax than the previous one? Because his world seems quite uncertain, like very kind of, not in a way scary, but you just don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's around the other corner. You don't know what's going to be. You don't know what the people are going to be like. That's that whole entire thing. So you never know what to expect next, which actually kind of does lend itself well to the series itself, to actually kind of be one of those ones that you always will come back to just to see how different the world is next week. So yeah, all in all, pretty freaking good, actually, I must say. Probably the second strongest anime of the season so far. I actually really do freaking like it. So that has been me for today once again. So if you have enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole, and you do want to leave a like, then do leave a like, because indeed it does something quite a bit. If you have enjoyed what I do here, and you want to stay that little bit longer, then do leave a sub, because indeed it does something quite a bit. But until next time, I shall see you guys later. Bye for now.